Welcome back. The rapid decline of former South African President Nelson Mandela is now attracting worldwide attention. The 94-year-old anti-apartheid leader is now spending the third day in critical condition in Johannesburg's Mediclinic Heart Hospital. For the very latest on this, we can cross over to our correspondent Guy Henderson joining us live from Joburg. The entire world is now watching this Wednesday about Nelson Mandela's deteriorating situation. Give us the latest. What's happening there?
Well, the last official update we got here at the Mediclinic Heart Hospital in the capital, Pretoria, just to point out, we're not in Johannesburg, this is Pretoria. The last official update came on Tuesday when the presidency released an official statement really just reiterating the similar tone to what we've heard in the last few days, that Mr. Mandela remains in a critical condition in the hospital behind me. Now, the language almost slightly reflective, really, looking back on Mr. Mandela's incredible history of leadership through this country's recent history, right back to the early 1940s when he was first introduced to politics, went right back when he first arrived in Johannesburg, all the way up to the 1960s, 1964, when he stood trial and offered his life at that time, essentially, for the people of South Africa, for the principle of racial equality. Instead, he went to prison, of course, coming out in 1991 to then lead this country into a new era. That is what the presidency is asking people to think about now, those huge and remarkable achievements. Since before that, on Monday, of course, we had the presidency also setting a similar tone, not giving those medical details, refusing to do so, but definitely not hiding at this stage the obvious frailty of Mr. Mandela, and no attempt to hide the fact that at the moment he is not getting better as he heads into his 19th day in hospital.
We're seeing a lot of tributes piling up right behind you in that wall, flowers, people from all over the world praying for Nelson Mandela. Tell us, what's the mood like there? Are people bracing themselves for the inevitable?
Well, of course it is inevitable one day, as sad as that does sound. And in recent months it has been 4 hospitalisations for Mr. Mandela in the last 6 or 7 months. And so obviously that kind of discussion about whether South Africa is prepared has been something that's come up more often, and it has been something that's come up more publicly. Certainly the way that the government's language particularly has changed in the course of that time has perhaps moved people more gently towards the idea that this is a man who's very old and who of course won't be around forever. But obviously now that his condition is critical, that now that he is genuinely fighting for his life, now that that mortality is staring South Africa in the face, there is a shadow over this country. Huge numbers of people have been turning up outside this hospital, so much so that the police have now closed off this road to traffic. Hundreds of people gathering to get updates from journalists, but also to lay what is now a growing mountain of tributes. You can see this big card, Madiba, we love you, up on the right there, and just well wishes being sent by school children. We had police cadets turning up the day before. So as well as that, there is of course a slightly somber mood, but on top of that as well, I think people are now looking back and I think celebrating the remarkable achievements of a unique leader.
4th visit to hospital inside 6 months, but still the news of Nelson Mandela's rapid decline has left this country in shock and fearing the worst. The presidency released an official update on Tuesday, but just to say the 94-year-old is no better. And so the tributes now are pouring in. A flock of white doves released by well-wishers outside the hospital. And a sombre line of police cadets. Mandela's example is still felt by the younger generation.
It's a big issue to them as trainees to be part of what the country is going through. So to have these flowers there as a symbol that we can live to say we are also praying for our Tata to get well soon.
In his old home in Soweto too, a realisation that the time to say thank you may be running out. And there's that persistent plea still from people for just a little more time.
My message would be simple: a speedy recovery, because we as a nation and his family, we need him more than we did in the past. That's all I can say. Let the old man pick up as soon as he can.
He's been an inspiration to most of us, and may the good Lord have mercy upon him and make him well. But if it's time for him to let go and leave us now, so be it.
But on Monday, the presidency again urged South Africa to be prepared.
As he ages, his health will begin to trouble him. And I think what we need to do as a country is to pray for him.
Flying over the hospital on Tuesday, 5 US military helicopters, a precursor to the planned visit of President Barack Obama later this week. Usually an event of global importance, now completely overshadowed.